Good evening. Patrick here, Eight Questions with. Welcome to welcome to the show. Eight Questions with, and glad you guys are here and to watch the show. We have a we're gonna have fun for the rest of April. I can tell you that right now. We are action packed for April. The rest of April. We got four shows this week, four shows next week. We are blazing out of here for April. And the weather has been cooperating too. It's been getting rather nice here. So I will actually be taking some time to go enjoy the sun. Uh, I couldn't do that today. I was running a little bit behind. Tuesdays are always a little tough because I do promotions on the day of show. That is something I wish I could change. I really wish I could change that, where I could go ahead and push my promotion out and people will lock in and come into the show. But social media being what it really is, you have to promote the day of the show. It's hard as hell. Um, right off the bat, I have one thing to mention. I'll be mentioning it throughout the show too. Do we are I thought we were hosting our friend Kevin tomorrow. I thought he was stateside, so I thought the show was going to be held at 8 o'clock Eastern time, like I normally do. He is actually in France filming a film right now, so tomorrow's show will start at noon. Will start at noon Eastern time, 9 Pacific, and 6 p.m. Greenwich Greenwich time. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get very many West Coasters tomorrow, but that's also for the replay. Speaking of replay, I'd like to say thank you so much for really helping me with my Marshall Teague. The Marshall Teague interview, you guys cracked it, and it's doing very, very well. I want to thank Hobbs for out there helping push it as well. We're going to be pushing it again some more. We're going to be pushing a lot of shows, past and present, out to you guys. YouTube has come up with a new format for podcasts, and I'm learning a little bit about that. So we're going to try to do both in blocks and individual shows and see if we can see which one works best for us. Tonight's guest is actress and director Rena MacGonegle. See, I remember that from. I'm sure she probably gets this all the time. I remember this from Professor McGonagall. That's how I remember saying her name right. Let's see. Anthony is here. Let's see. MKF 30 in the house. Hopefully he'll be here bowing before the mighty Yankees took care of business with the Phillies. Yeah, I know. What about the Tampa? I'm not surprised. I am not surprised. Tampa Bay is loaded. They are a super good team. I don't know. They won't beat us. Anthony's at 769 subs. Congratulations, Anthony. We will be talking to Rena MacGonegle tonight. She hails from North Carolina, and she is for someone so young. She has a nice body of work, very prolific, and she is very prolific, and she's done a lot of fun shows too. A lot of fun projects that we're going to be talking about, including two that are one's completed, one's being in post production. She's also done a lot of fun short films, including Serial Killers, Remnant 13, Belial, and she also appeared in a feature role in the movie The Bloody Man, which we'll be talking about as well. Because despite that weird title, which you would think would be an awesome horror movie, is actually a family movie. I think it's based on a urban legend, and the movie itself doesn't live up to the name necessarily. It's going somewhere else. And we'll be talking to Rena about her experiences about that. But tomorrow at 12 noon, I will be back. And we're only going to do one show. We're only doing the one show tomorrow. We'll be here at noon. We'll be talking to our friend Kevin. I can't say his name. I'm going to let him tell me how to say his name so I don't crush it. Um, but we'll be here from 12 to 2 tomorrow about that time. And then Thursday, I'll tell you what's going on Thursday. Of course, we have the lovely Alexis Iacano will be back with us on Thursday at 8 p.m. And then next Friday, the 14th, we have the lovely Christy Adams from Nightmare Toys. She will be here on Friday at 8 o'clock. To let you guys know what's coming up in both for the store, for Christie's store, because Nightmare Toys is about ready to have a kick-ass summer. Christie herself seen the store suddenly become a hotspot for independent films. If you're doing a horror film in Las Vegas, you're heading to Nightmare Toys to do a couple of scenes. So that's really, really cool. And then Christy herself, she's been being asked more and more to come out and do some acting. And Christy's having a lot of fun with that. So we'll be talking to her about that, about her role doing that. Is she playing herself? Does she get to play characters? Will there be a Haunted Nightmare Toys movie? Who knows, right? Could be one, could be anything. There's our good friend Echo Zero in the house. Yes, I have ITN. That's right. That's right. I found that at the library. I found a Scarecrow County, which I have actually been looking for. I've been actually looking for that movie because that movie was written and directed by our friend John Oak Dalton, who has been both on the Midnight Hour and he's also been here on Eight Questions With. He's very much a friend of the show, and I was really surprised to see it there staring back at me. It's the first thing I grabbed. The first thing I grabbed was an ITN movie. Um, yeah, I'm sure it's going to be great. I can tell you that right now, based on what we saw with Girl Under the Cross Base. Um, I can tell you. I just hope he got enough time to tell a story. That was actually the biggest thing we had as far as a complaint about Girl in the Cross Base was it was only 73 minutes and it really needed to be like 90 minutes. There's more story to be told there. And truly though, how many times have you actually heard a critic actually sit there and say, yeah, it needed more time? Most like 95% of the time I ever read about a review, especially in the horror genre, you always hear it like it could have been small. You could have chopped 30 minutes from it. Most horror films are like 90 minutes to maybe 100 minutes, an hour and a half to hour and 40 minutes. But Crawl Space only had 73. Doesn't mean it takes away from the story. You just want more of it. It's not like the movie's incomplete. It's not. You just want more of it. The Devil's Doorway was like that for me too. Aislinn Clark's debut for IFC Midnight, The Devil's Doorway was only 73 minutes as well. And I really, really wanted that to be like another 25 minutes long because I really wanted it to go. So yeah. We also want to thank again the guys that came out here and rocked it pretty good for Sunday night. Me and Katie from Popping the Popcorn. Boy, she was a busy lady this weekend. First, she was interviewed by Steven from House of Horror on Saturday. Excellent show. Pretty well attended too. I was really happy to see that. You guys really turned out for that. That was fun. Nice turnout for that. And rumor has it that Steven is actually looking for a co-host, a permanent co-host for Saturday night. If you love horror and you feel like you can interview some people that like to get in on that, throw me a 1 in the chat and I will hook you guys up. I'll introduce you if you haven't already known Steven as it is. So that's what I've been hearing, that he's looking for a new co-host for the House of Horrors, which airs on Saturdays from 8 to 10. It's only a 2-hour show. It's out. Um, they interview a lot of interesting people, a lot of up and comers, a lot of indie actors, a lot of what I do here, but different. Um, we have somewhat of a similar format, but I'm a soloist. Well, you know. Uh, Hi Mona, how are you? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. If you are new to the channel, if you're new to the channel, uh, please feel free to hit the sub button. Hit the sub button, hit the notification bell, and yeah, and that way you can come by and be told, or or let known that when we do a new show. Uh, So yes, yeah. Let's see. Mario movie is doing very well. Wow, not too bad at all. I heard that Mario was going to be up to 150 million dollars, but it looks like it might have gone a little bit more than that. Yeah. I honest to heaven, maybe I've just been out of touch, but I wasn't really sure about the Mario Brothers movie. I didn't even know there was one being made. I guess I missed that. Um, So I don't know. I All I know is that I read that in the Hollywood Reporter, that they were tracking it to do 150 million dollars, and I was like, holy cow! I didn't even know they had done a Mario movie. So there you go. I guess that is a I guess that was like the between that Creed 3 and Scream. I guess that means the summer season is a little bit unofficially officially started in Hollywood. I mentioned about the Katie on a Saturday night, but what I really want to do is say thank you for Sunday night. Me and Katie, we hosted. StreamYard has a new system in place, whereas you can share your live stream with a guest. Um, I mean, that means instead of your guest being here and being hosted by you here, she can actually run the show on their channel as well. So they also get the added the added benefit of views, um, which is really cool. I mean, that's a really nice thing to have. We talked about we're doing Action April in the Midnight Society. We're taking a little bit of break from horror films, and we're uh, well, sort of. I mean, I don't know. I mean, is V for Vendetta? I mean, it does definitely have some horror elements to it. I looked at it more as a superhero movie myself, um, but it definitely has a powerful message. And we took a look at that on Sunday, and really enjoyed the show. Folks came out and supported it. Um, a little slow, but that's because Easter was in play. We understood that. Um, Easter was in play, so but we still had a really nice engagement with our chat, and and people showed up. It was a good show, and I really do appreciate everybody showing up. Yes, John Leguizamo was in the first one, along with Bob Hoskins. I believe Bob Hoskins was the other Mario brother. And I guess Charlie Day is playing John Leguizamo's role. Um, so yeah. All right. All right. Let's see. I have not. I have never seen the live version of Mario Brothers. I never saw that. I know they used to play it at Family Video for the background. I would hear it when I was looking for videos. Um, so I know. I mean, I know of the movie. I just have never watched it before. I heard it's quite charming. Uh, John Leguizamo can do anything. He's very chameleon like in that respect. I mean, he can pretty much do anything that he wants to do. he's also a fine writer. He's written and his friend Clifton Collins Jr. A lot of those times I hear people they start talking about John, and they start talking about movies, and it's actually Clifton. They're talking about Clifton. They just get confused by that. But there is no confusion now that our guest is here, because our guest is here, and there will be no confusion now. That is not allowed. So those of guys who are still in the chat, feel free to share us out, please. That'll be awesome as we go get our guest, the actress and film director, uh, Rena MacGonegle. Here we go.
Hello.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you? How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Good, good, good. We were just talking about the Mario Brothers movie.
Ah,
Big fan, are you?
I know very little about the upcoming movie, actually.
I think I actually know less than you. They're just telling me that. I said the only thing I heard about it was I read it in Hollywood Reporter that it was on track to do $150 million opening, and that I guess that was be starting off the summer season. I guess it's going to be a really interesting summer season at the theater.
Yeah.
Do you watch that sort of thing as a working actor? Do you keep track of things like when theaters stay open or lose seats or go bankrupt and stuff like that? Do you keep an eye on that sort of thing?
I probably should be better about it. But no, I don't. It is good to know those things as an actor, just to see kind of what's popular and what types are being cast, and certain trends in comedy or drama. And but me personally, I'm not very good about keeping up with it.
Um, yeah, I keep track, obviously, because of the pandemic. We saw that. They were already, some of the theaters are already in trouble as it is, and then the pandemic came in there and threw body punches at the rest of it. And
Mhm.
now we're seeing theaters close. We saw a brief renaissance of drive-ins, but now even then, starting to read about the all the ones that had been brought back to life briefly for the pandemic. They've lost business, and some of them are closing. And
Yeah.
it, it, it's got to be a little bit concerning. I mean, like even if you go out for the night, you get in your car, you go out to drive, to go to the theater, and there might not be so many theaters are quite around anymore. Um,
Yeah, I feel like it's certainly been interesting to watch, just between that and the prevalence of streaming now. And there's so much content just on 10 different streaming services. It's been really strange to kind of watch the industry change in such a short amount of time.
uh, yeah, it is. Can you see the chat? Okay.
Um, oh, is it this comment section?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, now I can see it.
Okay. I just want to, if you see it, I see some people in the chat. I just want to say hello to them. I see our friend and fellow YouTuber, Danny Nightmare, is in the house. Uh, he runs the YouTube channel Horror Addicts, 15,000 subs.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, that guy, him and his wife run like massive channels. Um, so glad you're here, Danny. Glad you're here. Um, yeah, I was thinking about that when they're talking about the Mario Brothers. I'm going like, on one hand, it's super cool to see that you see like a movie like that comes out for 150 million, makes 150 million. So as an actor, there's part of you going like, oh, thank God, because now movies are still coming out the theaters, still making money, still viable. Uh, but then at the same time, with the loss of the screens, um pretty soon that's all we're seeing is Mario Brothers, because there's not enough screens to show everything else.
Hmm.
As an independent filmmaker yourself, working in independent film, now I know you have to have some sort of feeling about that. that I mean, that's got to be like, you want to bring your project to everybody wants to bring their project to the big screen. But instead of saying like 200, you're in Nashville right now.
I am, yeah.
So let's just say for the hell of it, there's 200 screens in Nashville. All of a sudden they close. I mean, before you could go up there and you could open up an independent film and get a week's run most of the time. You go to the theater, say, yeah, I want to run my movie for a week. You work that out, it happens. Now, and you can actually say that. You can sit there and do your red carpet. You can go out there and tell that to distributors. Yeah, we opened our movie up and we opened it up at theaters. It adds a little bit more punch to your background, to your body of work. Like we opened up a movie at a theater. But it seems like with the loss of screens, events like that are going to become more and more rare. And I don't know why. I find that really sad. I mean, I really do for independence. Have you had one of your movies open up in a theater?
I don't actually think that I ever have.
Not yet.
Not yet. Hopefully.
Now you started getting into directing. So I mean, and we'll come back. We're going to come back to that. Let's see. Okay. Oh, yep. He's playing the Mario movies for the customer. Yeah. See, that's what I saw. That's where I first saw the Mario Brothers at. I never saw the movie itself, but I overheard it at a video store where I used to go there and buy videos. Does anybody remember what a video store was? Honestly, does anybody? Hi, Jennifer. How are you? I'm glad you're here. We are talking to our guest. This is actress and film director Rena. Is I saying that? Is it Rena or Rena?
It's Rena.
Rena MacGonegle is here with us.
It's actually MacMonegle.
MacMonegle?
Uh-huh.
Oh man, I killed it. I was thinking MacGonegle because I was thinking, okay, because I know you probably hear. Do people say that more often to
All
you?
the time. All the time.
Okay.
I actually I named my cat Minerva because of it.
See, that's what I was going with too. I was going like, I can remember how to say this name because it's Harry Potter, it's Maggie Smith. I can do this. Just wait till you see the guest I have tomorrow. You can go try to pronounce his name because I'm not even trying. So where were you born and raised at? Before we come back to the directing question, I'm gonna go back to the beginning. So where were you born and raised at?
North Carolina. I was originally born in Asheville, and then when I was 10, moved to Raleigh, and then went to school in Charlotte for a year, and then transferred to Greensboro. So kind of been all over that state.
You have absolutely no Southern accent.
Thank you.
Is that something you work hard on getting rid of?
I'm not sure that I worked hard to do it. I never really had much of one except for when I was little. And it's been a slow progression over the years to kind of water it down, and now I actually find it hard to like pull it out if I need it for a role. I have to sit and think about it.
That would be sort of weird, huh?
Yeah.
You lose your regional accent from where you're born at. Do people ask you? Do you get a lot of roles when they see your background? Do you get a lot of roles put you in the South? We want you to play a Southern belle. Do you get a lot of that?
Actually, no. I've had a few auditions that have required that, but most of what I've booked has not been tied to any specific region, except for one that was specifically the 1980s in rural Kentucky. I think that's the only one that was really regionally specific that I've done.
Yeah, for someone so young, you have done a lot.
Thank you.
You have done a lot. I mean, and I was really impressed when I saw the credits you have. You have a lot of really interesting. You have a really interesting body of work. So you must have started. Obviously, you must have started young to get into in the game, right? You did the usual. Did you do the usual, the actor thing growing up? Did you go to? Did you start in junior high school or elementary school playing a carrot, then move up?
I took one after school acting class in middle school, I think. And I did that for a couple months. And I auditioned for some theater roles in high school and never got cast. I always told my parents this is what I wanted to do, and they were like, maybe not. Maybe let's be a little bit more practical and not go the artistic direction. They're both in the sciences, so they were, I wouldn't say disappointed, but they definitely, I think, wanted me to do something a little bit safer. They're just very, very logical people. And then when I got to college, since I had never really pursued it, I was like, all right, it's time. And I ended up transferring schools and changing my major to film. And
Did you know
that's
you
been it.
were? Did you know you were going to do that when you entered college? Did you have that in the back of your head? Like, this is my game plan. Let me go in there and we get a first year underneath my belt. Show the folks that I can do it. I'm a good student. I can do this, and then go ahead and transfer for your own dreams, your own goals.
No, I really did not think it was going to go that direction. I went to school with a, uh, I entered as a pre-biology major with intention to be a veterinarian. I don't know how I thought I was going to be a veterinarian because I have terrible allergies and it just would not have worked out.
Wow. What are you allergic to?
Everything.
Oh my gosh, really? So no pets then.
Oh no, I do have a cat. And I
Oh,
take a lot
Minerva.
of allergy medicine for her, but it's worth it. She's wonderful.
Is she short hair?
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a
Yeah.
little black cat.
Okay. Cats are always good. Cats are definitely a good luck symbol. I have a cheetah, and I can tell you right now that's the case. Cheetahs bring you great luck. Um, so how did your parents feel like when you told them that you were going to transfer? Or did they question you too when you did the vet? 'Cause I'm going to be a vet. Did they look at you and go like, that's going to be sort of hard? Um, when did you figure that out? Like when, because you had to go to class to it, right? You had to go inside and work with the animals. Did you realize then that it was like,
I I actually never got that far. I did 1 year of undergrad, and it was at that point basically just, your basic credits, a few maths, and I think there was a science in there and some English classes. It was all the run-of-the-mill stuff. I didn't even get to anything practical before I decided that I was just gonna go for it, and I don't remember them having much of a reaction. I think at that point they'd heard me talk about it for so long that they were finally just like, "All right, go do it, whatever."
uh, yeah, I think parents, I think if you show your parents, I think if you show your parents that, listen, I'm going to school, I can handle the weight. The academics are not, and they're not phasing me. I can, keep my GPA up, everything else. I think a lot of parents, once they see that their child can actually do it, and without any problem, I think they sort of relax. I think a lot of times the parents get sort of anal about that because they know that being a working actor, it's very, very uneven, as far as work
Yeah.
goes. So they want you to have a degree to fall back on, for that. So when you transferred to Asheboro, right?
I transferred, within the UNC system. I went from UNC Charlotte to UNC Greensboro.
Okay, Greensboro. Okay, because yeah, you guys have a lot of different schools in your system. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so I didn't know that Greensboro actually had a drama class. Is it a well-known regional program, or is it?
No.
Oh,
It is incredibly small, and my degree is technically, in media, and it was kind of an umbrella category that covered, film, radio, television production, screenwriting. It was a little itty bitty baby program. Um, we had like one hallway, and it covered everything, but no, it's not a well-known program. Um, and but it was set up in such a way that I have been, my degree isn't specifically film, it's media, which makes it a lot easier for me to, fall back on.
Right. Now, did that help you a lot? Did you know that going in that it was going to be a fledgling? Was it just starting out when you transferred in? Were you part of the first few classes, or was it always this small?
I think it was always that small because I knew students. I've since met students who were there years before me, and I think it was just always just a tiny little program within a larger campus. They have a lot of focus on psychology and business, and nursing. They have a large nursing program.
Okay. That must. I mean, like that worked out to your advantage, like you said. I mean, with much smaller classes instead of like having 200-300 students battling out for a whole semesters. What was your class size? Like 30 or 40?
It varied. For the more practical classes, like my production classes, we maybe had 20 people,
Mm,
if that. And then for something larger, like a media literacy class or something, then we had closer to maybe 50. But for all my production and editing and very hands-on classes, yeah, they were small, so it was a lot easier to work with professors and get that experience.
Now, what did you like about the class? I mean, why did you pick the school? Why not a bigger place? Was that because you wanted to be more hands-on? Did you feel like you would be swallowed up in a bigger school?
Honestly, a lot of it was kind of an accident. Um, I I just really needed to not be where I was my first year of undergrad. I unfortunately had a situation with an ex where my safety was
Ah,
uh, called into question, and so I did a transfer application and I picked a school and I got lucky in a way. Um, and I spent a year as an undecided major, thinking that I was probably going to go the film route. Um, and then I decided that that major and program was more flexible than necessarily going into like something like School of the Arts, which is a very, very strict and structured program. Um, and something that I learned about halfway through is at some of the film schools, the school technically holds like intellectual like property rights over your work. Whereas for me, even if it's not good, I technically own everything that I made in college.
okay, that's good though. I mean, some of the things that you worked on that maybe are a little bit bumpy, but now as you gain more experience in the different parts of your craft, then you can go back there and take that project and rework it and make it
Mhm.
more smooth.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. What was so your classes are really small. What was the first thing that they what was the first thing that you practically doing? Did they have you building sets at first, or did you get up there and have to perform a scene in front of with a scene partner? Well, what was your hands-on experience like at college as far as the stage goes?
I've got to think because now this is getting to be over a decade ago. So I've got to actually have to think about it. So acting was a separate program. They had a separate theater program, and I actually did minor in acting, but it was completely separate from my film classes. Um, I don't remember if I took an acting class or a film class first, um, but I believe the first production class that I took was just a very basic, this is a camera and this is how you write a script and this is how you schedule out your day and this is how you plug in your XLR cable. I think it was a very simple class on the basics, and then there was a class right after that that was editing, so taking all the footage that we shot and learning the basic processes of editing. But honestly, the class was so small that the gear or the and the it was so underfunded that the gear that we were working with was already about 10 years out of date at that time.
Wow.
Like this was 2012 and we were shooting on tape.
Oh, oh God. I guess they hadn't heard the digital part.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, was that the first? Is that where the seeds of you wanting to start to direct? Were they planted during that class, during that time, doing that? Did you start thinking about that, or were you still thinking about in front of the camera?
Yeah, at that time I was definitely thinking more about directing, and probably honestly that at that time I was more focused on screenwriting. And there was a time when I decided that I didn't want to be on set at all. Um, and I think at that point I had also kind of decided I probably wasn't going to act either. And apparently I've just gone back and forth my whole life on what part of film I was going to be doing, and now I'm just doing all of it. Um,
Because you have 10 projects that you've done, that you've directed. That's a lot. That's a lot of projects.
is it 10?
Hmm.
Oh, haven't counted.
I
If
thought
that's
we
based
had.
on IMDb, then I think there's a few things that aren't on there too.
Yeah, oh, then you can probably go and then you're gonna go back and add more to them because yeah, IMDb you're listed as being a director on 10 projects. And that's a lot. That's quite a bit, for someone who's just, who's new to, because you really are really young. You've been busy from the minute you left college. I mean, there's been no, a lot of people come out of college that they do something else at first, and then they take their time getting into it. But it seems to me like as soon as you graduated, you hit the ground running and you were already working. That's good.
I tried. There was some of those projects that are coming up probably were from college. Um, I did have about a year where I just worked at CVS and saved money before I moved out to Nashville and started doing film.
Uh, did you do any projects? Did you do any projects? Did you make any short films while you were in college?
Yeah, so I did 2 or 3 in college. Um, I think I had a short documentary that actually ended up playing in a few festivals, and then did um, kind of a sci-fi dystopian drama my last year that actually played at the short film corner in Cannes in 2015.
Nice, nice. Now, see, not very many people get to play con at all on any level. That's amazing. Uh, you have that was invitation only too, right? I mean, you had to be invited to go to cons. You don't just submit. You get invited.
Yes, but I was also there as part of an internship, so I kind of had a loophole.
Okay. Well, uh, 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 what did you get to go over there with your film? Did you get to go to France with your film?
Yeah, I was there for 2 weeks, as part of an internship program. I worked with, the American Pavilion, during the festival, and then had, my film playing in the short film corner at the same time.
Wow. I don't think actually I'm really am trying to wrap my head around this. I don't know if I've talked to anybody yet who's actually had a film play at cons. I don't think I'm really trying to wrap my head around that. I don't think I have. I know how utterly prestigious that is. That's an incredible honor. You don't get into the you don't do that. Yeah, that's a lot of skill. That's a lot of skill.
I've never been able to do it again, so maybe one day.
You know what? There's a lot of people that never will get a chance to do it at all. So I
Yeah.
mean, that's something that can never be taken from you. That's amazing. Now you came out of there, you started doing short films in college, and so what got you go back in front of the camera?
So when I moved to Nashville, I really came out here in 2016 kind of without much of a plan, didn't really know anybody here, and just one day I was like, I've got to get involved in the industry. I've got to like make connections. I've got to meet people. I've got to like just try something because I was, um, it's hard when you move to a new place and you don't know anyone. So I was in kind of a rough spot, and I was like, well, I'm just going to try this. And so I joined a bunch of actually like Facebook casting and crew groups for Nashville. And the first one I joined, right at the top, there was a casting call for a zombie apocalypse series that had just been posted. And I was like, well, that would be kind of fun. And I legitimately thought that it was just going to be just some kids running around in the woods with a digital camera. And so I submitted to it because I was like, that sounds fun. And they almost immediately asked me to audition. And then I did, and got the call like a week later that I had booked it. And I was really taken aback because it was such a professional phone call. And I was like, oh, I don't think these are kids running around in the woods with the camcorder.
It sounds like
um,
you're gonna get a paycheck too.
um, yeah. And so it turned out to be a pretty decently sized project, and it shot in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Um, and it definitely has its problems because a lot of us were first timers on it. It is currently on Amazon Prime and Tubi. Um, but just the friends that I made on that project, there's still people that I'm very, very close with from that project. And most of those 10 credits and all my acting credits and stuff have something to do with that group of people. The
What was
producer,
the
sorry,
what was the movie's name?
it was called Remnant 13.
Okay, Remnant 13. Okay, all right. And so well, yeah, that's right. I put that down there as one of your as for the calling card. Because I like the name of it. I thought the name was really cool. Um, so you're out there in the woods and you're running around. Did you get what part did you play in the movie? Were you were you a zombie, or were you one of the leading ladies, the final girl, or
I certainly wasn't the final girl. I'm gonna have to think of how to say this without spoilers.
you're a zombie?
Uh, um, you said it, not me. I am patient zero.
Oh wow. Okay. So yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, the
So
premise is
to
a
find you.
doctor is trying to save his daughter who has a rare form of brain cancer, and so he uses an experimental treatment, and you can fill in the blanks after that.
Uh, I want to say hi to the folks that are coming to the chat. Our good friend John from Doomsday Crypt and is in the house. Happy birthday, John. V is in the house. Call me V. Welcome. Andre, welcome, welcome. Remnant 13, Tubi and Amazon Prime. I'm gonna have to look that up. Um, what was it like? Did you learn how to use makeup and effects in college, or was that your first time where you walked out there and people threw blood on you?
That was probably the first project that I'd ever done, like had any experience with special effects makeup. I didn't learn to do anything with makeup until much later. I didn't do any makeup for Remnant. There were a couple really great makeup and special effects artists who worked on a few episodes of that, and they get all the credit for that one.
What was it like? What was it like playing a zombie? A patient zero. Well, what
It
was it like?
felt
Did you feel like you had to stretch out a little bit, or how did you prepare for a role? And that's your first role, is you're playing a critical. Your part's really important to the project. Were you ready for that?
I thankfully had a lot of time to prepare for it. And it was a very intense and emotional scene for everything kind of leading up to that, to the final zombification. Um, but then the actual day, like actual zombie day, was a lot more intense than I thought it was going to be. It was a lot more physically strenuous and exhausting. And I didn't have to do anything. I was just strapped to a bed the whole day.
Oh, geez. So you get to watch everybody go bust their, bust their or the butts but what a great place though, right? I mean, think about it. You're on the bed, you're strapped down. Hopefully, they strap you all the way down. Um, but you got to look and learn and observe. I mean, you're sitting there, you're like a fly on the wall, so to speak, how everybody acts. And
Mhm.
you're on set. I mean, you got the best of both worlds, Rena, right?
Yeah.
How did you think about that when you were laying there? Were you thinking like, I got the coolest role in this whole movie?
I'm sure that the thought did cross my mind. I spent so much time thinking about that before, like, leading up to it, because I was a big fan of The Walking Dead, and so, to be able to not only be in it, but be patient zero was such a it was just really cool. It was such a fun experience. Um, but as far as actually, like, being able to sit there and watch everything, I actually had to wear whiteout contacts, and they
Oh,
they weren't prescription, and I'm legally blind without, contacts or glasses.
yeah,
So I
probably.
actually couldn't see much of anything.
Oh, well, I mean, you could go back. I mean, I guess you could go. I mean, I guess you could go back and watch the movie and observe your way that way. But wow, that's a shame, because I would think that'd be the best of both worlds. Your first role, basically you're playing the most important part. You're in a horror movie, so you get to get all that makeup, all the gunk. You get to lay on the bed and watch how everybody else's work. I mean, there's a lot of positives there.
Mhm.
Um, and you got paid. And the reason I'm saying that, because this, um, most college short films. I mean, you said yourself, you joined all the casting groups. I'm in a lot of those groups too, and I don't know how many times and John will know what I'm talking about too. Um, how many times were people put up there saying, you know, casting a project, and then it's like, um, can't pay you, but you get experience or you'll get a credit. I mean, you've seen that. Um,
All the
you
time.
know,
I
yeah.
have worked for credit.
But it's sort of nice to be able to walk out there the first time out and go like, oh, I'm getting paid. A what? Get out of here. A craft table? Uh, uh, so, but then again, then when you started directing yourself, though, then you're sitting, then yourself on the other, then you're on the other side. When you do your short films, Rena, how do you advertise it? Because you're on both sides. You're a working actor and now you're a director. How do you balance that? When you do casting, is it hard to cast people and ask them to come out there and basically work for credits, or do you try to, uh, 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 do you try to get a budget together and make sure that everybody at least gets a tank of gas home? How hard is it now for independent short film directors to balance that?
It's it's pretty difficult. I have unfortunately not been in a position to have too much of a budget on anything, so far. Um, at least not for my own scripts. I have directed, I've been hired to direct some music videos where all of that, it was not my job to pull together the budget, thankfully, because I'm not very good at the producing side of it. Um, but the short films that I've done that are more passion projects, a lot of them are friends getting together and making it happen. Um, I I always feel bad bringing in someone who I've never met before and expecting them to work for free. Um, I don't
You know,
love making anyone
you have
work for free,
you
so I
have
try to, like, be very, very careful about kinda how I bring it up and how we're gonna do it, and
you have a conscience. Um, so what's it like? I mean, when you I mean, how many projects did you do as far as directing or acting or what have you? How many projects did you put to bed before you moved to Nashville?
how many projects did I finish before moving to Nashville?
Yes. Or was Nashville, that was your baptism of fire?
I think that other than what I did in college, um, it's everything I've done has been here.
So talk to us a little bit about the Nashville scene. Is it a good place to be as far as a filmmaker go? A woman filmmaker. Um, kind of, the is it a place where you're comfortable at?
Um, it's definitely, you see a lot of music videos here and, a lot of corporate videos, a lot of commercials. There has been kinda some more stuff that they've been trying to bring in. I know there's a big push for, tax incentives, and there's been a group that's been trying to get that together, uh, for years to build a studio here and bring more work here, but for someone who's working, honestly, Nashville is just such a good location just geographically, because if I book something in Cincinnati or Atlanta or North Carolina, I'm not that far. It's not that much for me to travel. I can get to a lot of markets very easily.
Why Nashville? Why not Cincinnati or Georgia or North Carolina?
Um, I originally moved out of North Carolina because they lost their tax incentives right as I was graduating. So all of their projects dried up just overnight,
Yeah.
because they had a booming scene in Wilmington and stuff, but, all of that.
I never understand that because the states are making money. The states
Yeah.
are making money with the tax incentives. I mean, maybe you don't see it right away. Maybe you don't see it like, okay, we're giving these guys, we're going to take these guys $5 million off their taxes. You're not gonna, the movie, when's the movie going to come out? You're not going to, it doesn't work that way, right? It could take a movie up to 2 years to come out, and then, but what it does, it creates such an interesting buzz and it increased tourism, and people want to go out there and see the movie sets. They want to go out there and
Mhm.
see where certain movies were made. I mean, the parts, I guess what I'm saying is like when you give those tax incentives and you do encourage the movie industry to come out or the TV industry to come out, there is a ripple effect.
Mhm.
You got the initial show or the movie that you're trying to make, but the ripple effect is that you're bringing in a whole lot more other than just your movie that you're making.
Yeah.
Um, do you think it's short-sighted for I mean, if you had to go out there and just stand in front of like a state's governor or their Congress or representatives, how would you present an argument to them to keep the tax incentives as an actor and a director? What would you tell them if you had a chance to do so?
I don't oof. I don't know that I would be brave enough to be there in the first place.
You are listen. You were a zombie. You were patient zero. You're brave enough.
Um, I don't know what I can say that no one else has said before. And I've listened to a lot of people discuss it, and um,
Do you discuss it with your peers? Do you discuss that the tech, like, like how to make, because it does seem like, it does seem like it's becoming harder and harder to secure financing, right? Am I mistaken in that way? Am mistakenly, or is it easier? I just feel like right now it's probably just a little bit more difficult to get that financing. So you need any and all breaks you could get, especially that way. If you have like a $5 million movie, you want every break you could get. Especially if it's a passion project.
mhm,
So it's like how do you save your project? How can actors or production companies, how can they save their projects from states that are wavering? Like, today you have tax incentives. Tomorrow we don't know.
mhm.
Convince us to keep it. Um, is that something you and your peers talk about?
It on occasion, um, I hear it discussed a lot in some of the acting studios that I'm involved with, and kind of ideas of how to convince lawmakers. But it's kind of a dicey situation just with the state of things in Tennessee. Um, we've been
Um,
very much in the news recently. Um,
yeah, yeah, and not for the good stuff. Um, do you sense that especially with the all the drag queens being and transgender people being attacked. Do you feel that will do you guys fear as filmmakers? Do you fear that will tumble down to you, rolls downhill? Will you think that you will be uh get caught up in that as far as what you can and can't show as far as your projects go? Like
it's
if you wanted to show a transgender scene in your movie and or a drag queen in your movie, are you allowed to shoot that now to tell that part of your story if you had to, or is that something you have to take your whole production company and move out of state just to shoot that scene?
that is definitely a concern, because the way that law was written, it is so incredibly vague that you don't really know what it applies to, like what's and how much trouble are you going to be in. And as a director, I would not ask cast to do something like that at all, just because I wouldn't want to put them in a situation that they could potentially get in trouble, or something that would be dangerous for them. So it certainly is. It's incredibly frustrating.
Sort of
Um,
scary too, isn't it?
yeah, and
It is scary. I mean,
yeah.
because you don't know, and if you do, and you sit there and say, I'm making this movie, and this is part of the story, and then later on find out that they could hurt you in many different ways. They could turn
Mhm,
around and maybe they could revoke your tax incentive, or
mhm,
they could go ahead and, like you said, they could arrest your performers for
mhm.
appearing. You can sit there and say, I'm making a movie, and they don't care.
Yeah, which
Um,
is not
it, it,
just problematic on another level, because those stories do deserve to be told, um, and have that kind of exposure and reach an audience, and it just makes it even harder to do that. It has so many repercussions.
mm. Um, John is mentioning here, he says he thinks the majority of indies would love to pay the cast. I agree too, John. I do. Sometimes sometimes not though. Sometimes you can just read between the casting direct notice, and they really don't even bother trying. They're just like, yeah, just come out and get a credit, or experience. And it's like, to me, it's like, wow, if you don't even try, that's what gets me. You got to at least try to pay your cast.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, there is no budget, but that's part of the short. That's what, see, to me, that's part of the process when you make a short film. Part of that process is that you have to have a budget because you have to work with a budget. That's part of the process of being a filmmaker. You learn to do what you can with what you're given.
Mhm.
But if you go in there automatically, like, I don't have anything, I'm not given anything, and then I don't think that's not the right attitude to have.
Mhm.
Let's see. But I can understand exposure for a new actor, actress, and experience. I do. I do. I get that, especially if it's a director, doing his first or second project. But when you run across someone who has, 9 or 10 projects underneath their belt and they're still running out that same old line, I'm not buying it. It's like, you know what, really, if you haven't figured out how to do your budget correctly to at least pay your cast by your 10th or 11th project, might need to go back to class, because then you learn how to make better pitches or meet better investors. Because I do believe you're a professional. I think that whatever you do, you deserve to be paid. Um, so now here in Nashville, and it is a little bit of a rocky ground you're walking on. Um, but before that, like I said, you had some fun projects though. Uh, what was the first thing that you booked for yourself in Nashville when you got out here?
It was Remnant, yeah.
Oh, Remnant was your first one.
Mhm.
Okay, so after that, what did you do after that? Were you able were you able to book yourself right away again?
I have to remember. Um,
It says it's a TV series. Was it a TV series? Remnant 13?
yeah, it's a series. There's 4 episodes.
Okay. Okay. That is an interesting thing to do too. I have seen that. You don't see that very often, but sometimes you do see it. Independent TV shows. They're that's incredibly difficult.
It is. It is incredibly difficult, and I think, most of the higher ups from that one would decide I don't wanna speak for them, but I get the feeling that they would maybe not do it again.
Let's make a feature film. Let's be done with it. Um, but you love horror films. I'm looking at your list, and you love horror. Now, have you always loved horror? Was horror one of your things? Did you grow up loving the genre growing up, or what was your some of your favorite movies and actors growing up?
So, I've this is funny because 'cause I've never really been that into horror. I didn't watch a lot of horror growing up. I still don't really watch a ton of horror, but I really like making horror movies. But
Okay.
I scare pretty easy.
Do you really?
I do.
Well, you can watch Hereditary. That won't scare you at all.
I'm definitely not gonna be watching that.
It's not scary. Trust me on that.
See,
Jo- Jo-
I hear people say that it just completely ruined their life though, so I don't know who to believe.
Really? Yeah, the only thing that ruined their life is that they fell asleep, watching it. Now our good buddy Rick here, from Underground Sobrosa, he can give you a list of high quality horror movies to watch and get the hell scared out of you. Rick is the master of that. So what did you watch when you grew up? I mean, what scares you? I mean, what's the sort of what's I can act it, I can be a zombie, but I don't want to watch a zombie, right?
So everything I watched as a child, I just completely forgot as soon as you
Uh-oh. Okay, okay, yeah, she locked up. Uh-oh. Locked up fan on aisle one. I get that. I get that. I mean, yeah, you know what? I mean, I get, um, so tell us about now though. But now here you are as a filmmaker. Do you watch? I mean, since you've been in horror for a while, have you do you have your favorite directors now, your favorite actors that you like to work a movie with, as far as making a horror film?
Favorite actors that I like to work with locally, or
Um, no, I mean, yeah, if you're a director and you could cast if you could cast a horror film and you have five actors to cast, which five would you like to what five would you like to direct?
I'm gonna overthink this.
And
um,
Danny says that he's also a director too. He also makes horror films. He says horror movies are the most fun to make for sure,
yeah.
but are they the most fun to watch? That's the problem. It's like so you see, she can make them no problem, but she sit there and you watch them like, what, you want me to make Headless? I could do that, but you want me to watch it? What? I get it. I get it. Um, okay, yeah. So tell us your five actors who you love to direct and make it a good horror movie.
Sorry, I'm gonna overthink this question.
I'll help you with one. Minerva. Okay, so now you have four.
um, Now you've said that, all I can think is actors from Harry Potter.
You know what? You know what? You know what though? You know that's not unheard of though, right? I mean, you people look at Maggie Smith and you look at Judy Dench, or you look at like Glenn Close or stuff like that, and you go like, they're old ladies now. Jane Fonda, Lily Tomlin, and you don't and you look at that and you go like, who's gonna believe that? Who's gonna believe that they're scary? But then you go back to a movie like Rosemary's Baby, or whatever happened to Baby Jane, and all of a sudden it's like, who slew Annie Rue, and all of a sudden you realize that older actors can bring the noise.
Hmm.
They can scare the shit out of people.
Hmm.
To give them the right project.
Hmm.
So could I see Dame Maggie Smith scaring us? Oh yeah, I could. That's a good casting call.
Gonna put her in there with Jamie Lee Curtis. I feel like they could make a good movie together.
Like a mother daughter.
Maybe.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That would be interesting. Did you I mean, like, do you and your husband, do you guys go out together? What movies do you usually watch when you do go out together? Do you just strictly comedies and dramas, or do you find yourself finding do you watch horror because you sort of have to, because it's part of your job?
I've gotten a little bit more into it recently, and it's one of those things where I am a little bit of a chicken, and I'm kind of jumpy, so it's really hard to find the line of like what's going to be too scary for me, because I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre in college, and it ruined my life for about 4 days. Couldn't handle that one. Um, but I recently watched all the Conjuring movies, and that was fine. So I'm not really sure what the line for me is. I just know that I don't like to cross it because then I get very upset.
No, no, I get it. I get it. Uh, yeah, I get it. I mean, there's some movies that everybody has limits. Well, except for Rick. Rick probably doesn't have any limits. That guy's a machine. Um, uh, uh, so how do you go about, do you have representation in Nashville, or do you book all your projects yourself? And if you do, what do you look for? I mean, what draws you to what draws you to a project?
Up to this point, I have been entirely self-represented. I
Hmm.
have booked everything myself. Um, until today. Today I actually signed with an agency
Oh,
for the first time.
well, congratulations.
Thank you. Um, but yeah, as far as what, and it's changed with what I look for in projects over the years. At first it was anything to get experience, anything to build a reel, anything to make a connection. Um, and then as I went, I started being a little bit pickier of it's either, is this paid, or do I have something like this in my reel? So I mean, it's changed over time, and then unfortunately things have been a little slow ever since 2020. And I've been trying to kind of like build momentum back up, and now there's been a couple of those 4 credit projects that I've taken just to be on set and just to be around
Sure,
other
sure.
people who just want to make something, because there's really, when you get in a good environment with good people, like there's nothing like that. So sometimes I will just take something just to be doing something.
Sure, sure. Have you looked into Ohio? Ohio is right now, it's white hot. White hot. They have so many
So
projects going. Yeah, go ahead.
my representation is in Ohio. I have been keeping an eye on Ohio. I actually booked 2 commercials there last summer. Um, I don't know if they're still airing, but I would love to get back up there.
Yeah, I get that. Um, so what are you leaning toward now? Are you leaning toward I mean, and one thing I wanted to comment too. Let me go back here real quick. One of the cool things I saw one of your projects did, you did a movie called The Bloody Man. Talk to us about that.
Um, that one's one of my more recent ones. That one was a lot of fun. That
Yeah.
there's not official release date on it yet. Um, but that one is probably my most drawn out project ever. I did my first audition for it in 2018, completely forgot about it. And then I got a call in the fall of 2019, like 18 months later, saying, "Hey, we found your tape for this and we want to book you." And I was like, "I don't remember sending this at all." I
Wow.
had to go back through my email and find it and figure out what they were talking about.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes that happens, doesn't it? I mean,
Mhm.
um, yeah. So you found it, and then did you have to audition again, or did they give you the role?
No, I didn't. I don't think they made me audition again. I think they cast it, and that was the end of 2019. And then we shot. It was a very very large cast. So a lot of people just had a few vignettes, a few little scenes. So I shot my first scene in February of 2020, and I was supposed to shoot my next one like a month or 2 later, and we obviously did not shoot in March of 2020.
No.
So
Oh,
I finally shot my second scene in February or March of 2021, a year after that.
wow, wow. Well, at least they believed in the project. Keep going with it.
Yeah, they've um the uh producing team on that one is so dedicated and so passionate, and they've just made it work with anything, and they've been through so much to make that project happen. And it's really inspiring. They're a really cool team. We I know it's not totally out of post, but they did a cast and crew screening um this past October for all of us. So I drove up to Louisville, and they actually screened it at the Waverly Hills Sanatorium for us,
Oh,
which was really cool. That was I love ghost stories and haunted lore. So like watching a movie that I was in the Waverly Hills Sanatorium was just like, it was a dream I didn't know I had.
were you surprised that a lot of people you say well you did the Bloody Man, and the first thing they think of is horror, but it's not really a horror film. Really, it's more of a family film, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, 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 I think people are. I think when people watch it, I think they're going to be a little bit surprised by how cool it was, and like it's all about the kids. I saw a screener. They sent me a screener. I watched some of it. Um, did you get a chance to meet? Did you know who Tuesday night and Lisa Wilcox were? Were you aware of who they were and their horror uh, pedigree?
I was when I went to set, but before that, no, I was not familiar with them, but I did do my research, so I did understand the gravity of like being in the same project and being in the scenes with Tuesday.
Uh, what's it like working with somebody who's maybe has been around a little bit longer, maybe has a little bit more of a name recognition? I mean, have you worked with a lot of actors that have that? And what have you observed about them when they work?
Just the level of professionalism that kind of just radiates off of them, and um, they're paying attention to things that I would not have even considered.
Mm.
And it's a very humbling experience. I get really, really nervous. And so I kind of treat them like they're celebrities and assume that I try to give them their space and be very respectful. I don't ask a lot of questions. I just kind of do what I need to do and then leave.
Yeah, so that's cute. I mean, I get that. I get that. Is it hard for you to understand that it's hard to grasp that you're a peer. You are just as important as they are, and in your role in the movie. I mean, they're actors just like you. Um, but I mean, but it's still got to be fun, right? It's still got to be.
Yeah.
So how do you prepare for your roles? I mean, if you say you get nervous, so how do you prepare? What do you do to settle your nerves down?
I don't know. Most of the time people tell me that they couldn't tell I was nervous. So
I was just,
I
I was
just I
just,
just hide it.
oh, I was going
I
to
just
suggest
pretend I'm not nervous.
I was going to suggest cat therapy. That always works for me. Yeah. I mean, if I get really nervous asking people questions, I would like, yeah, just come over here and like stand right there. Don't move. And then like, so, but yeah, it can be a little nerve wracking. Do you still get nervous today? Oh, really? After all
Mhm.
those projects that you've done a lot, and you still get nervous. I think that's actually quite charming, to tell you the truth. Um, but how do you, but so how do you prepare for your characters? Do before you mentioned your self-representation. So what do you look for a project? I mean, what's going to make Rena happy? I mean, if you got a chance to do a comedy, a drama, family film, rom-com, romantic, or horror. I mean, which are you going to take first? I mean, which role would you gravitate to first, and which one would you not want to play in?
Um, at this point today, right now, if you ask if someone offered me all those different projects, I would probably pick a drama just because I haven't done quite as many. So I feel like it would be an interesting challenge, but it would be very, very difficult to not choose the comedy or the horror.
Rick says here he got nervous once. Now he's a superhero. He's not kidding either. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, I think I think the more, I guess, what is it, the one thing you fear the most is the one you should fear the least. So
Mhm.
if you got a chance to do a romantic film or whatnot, I mean, just you want to be able to put you want to hit it dead on, so you can get it out of the way, because you might be called to direct that genre. And
Mhm.
if you're not really comfortable with it as an actor, won't that wouldn't that, don't you think that would reflect onto a director? Like, if you're not really sure about the material or like the
Yeah.
genre, it definitely it would affect the you as a director.
Yeah. Yeah, it would
Um,
definitely be difficult to, because as the director, you're the one really telling the story as you want the audience to see it, and if you don't identify with the subject matter, or if you don't understand it, then
yeah.
it's gonna be very, very difficult, and your audience is going to they're gonna feel it. They might not really have the words to express why something felt off, but they're gonna know it.
I think that happens sometimes when there is conflict on the set or conflicts with the story or with the script or what have you. I do think that sometimes you can sense a disconnect in a project. Like a movie you watch going like you watch it and go like, man, they didn't seem to have any chemistry, or this movie seemed disjointed or off balance. I think you think that's probably because they have trouble with the project itself, with what's being, with the words on on the page, or and do you allow your actors to improv when you do your directing? Do you allow them to go off the script, or do you like to try to keep them on the paper?
I've never explicitly said, "Don't improv," but I've also never really had an actor who wanted to improv or who did that much improv. Um, I don't know if maybe I give "Please don't improv" vibes or why, but no, come to think of it, I don't think I've ever had anyone, go off book in that way. Um, I mean, if the situation called for it, I wouldn't be opposed to it, as long as you're kinda hitting the beats of the scene, then I mean, it's if that's what you feel is gonna bring your performance forward, then absolutely.
um what do you think your three strongest strengths as a director, and your three weaknesses that you would like to improve on as a director?
Um, as a director, I really feel that, my acting experience plays in a lot into just to know how to communicate with actors and how to get, um, the performance or just the cadence on a delivery, um, because I've been on the other side, so I know how to and I know how I would wanna be spoken to. So that's definitely a big strength that I have. I've also have a lot of experience as an editor just out of necessity, which helps
Right.
me visualize a scene beforehand and do the shot list so I kinda know how it's gonna come together. Um, and I think really just trying to have, a fun, positive, environment that's, drama free and everyone kinda gets along, and I would never want an actor to do something that I'm personally not comfortable with doing, so I try to over communicate sometimes, um, which as far
Well,
as I'm aware, I feel are strengths. I could talk to one of my actors and they could tell me it's not, but I'll find out one day, I guess.
it's
Um,
gonna be looking at Tennessee, that's gonna be a really interesting the next year or so to see what happens with a lot of states too. Just not just Tennessee. A lot of these states, it's really gonna be interesting to see how many millions of dollars that they're gonna leave on the table because of their censorship.
yeah.
Um, do you fear as an artist? Do you fear that's what we're heading to? Do you feel your creativity being squeezed at all when you approach a project?
I think that there's always been challenges and there's always a way to work around them. And sometimes working around them just makes you a little bit more creative.
Yeah. So what's going on with you for the rest of 2023? What's on your table? What's on your plate?
Right now, I'm really just trying to kind of refocus and go back to some basics. I've started doing some 1 minute shorts once a month with a group to kind of just be doing something and to kind of work on certain techniques. Um, I'm still booking out the rest of the year, so hopefully I'll get very, very busy here soon. I've got a lot of possibilities and maybes right now that could be something, could be nothing.
A 1 minute short. I know a lot of people look at that and they're like, "What can you do in a minute?" You can do a lot in a minute. That's I've seen a couple of shorts that were less than a minute long, like 55 seconds. Tell a story. 55 seconds. It can be done.
It can.
Yes. Um, you have to be extremely talented to do it, though. I mean, you have to be. That's some next level stuff right there.
You have to be a very, very good storyteller to be able to do it well. Yeah.
Do you feel like you're a good storyteller?
No.
Really? Why do you feel like you're not a good storyteller?
um, I
You're
don't know.
confident. I mean,
There's just always someone doing it better.
yeah, but I think that's a normal reaction, though. But I can sense you have confidence in yourself. You're very self confident. I mean, I don't. Maybe I saw a feeling. I mean, I'm feeling that coming talking from you. It's a little bit. It's like I bet you if I put you on a set, we would see a change come over you, and you would just take control. I just really sense that. Um, I mean, talking to someone like myself, that is a little nerve wracking. Interviewing is nerve wracking, but at the same time, making a film is a lot more nerve wracking, and you've done that 10 times. So you know what I'm saying? I mean, you can handle business. Um, let's see. The industry is just like that, being ready. But everything can change on a second notice. Yeah, it can be. It can. It can. I mean, if it's some sort of natural disaster, man-made disaster, weather, a whole bunch of things, and you got to be on control of it and ready to move. Finding locations to shoot, equipment breaking down, cast. Have you done a movie yet where some of your cast members haven't shown up on the day of shooting?
So it wasn't one that I directed, but in 2020, my husband actually wrote and directed a couple uh, uh, shorts that he was going to use as pitches. And it was a very, very complicated shoot. And it involved like a whole costume that was rigged and specifically measured to the actors' bodies. And we got an email at 3 o'clock in the morning before we were supposed to shoot with a 8 or 9 a.m. call time. And he said, "Hey, I have a fever. I think it's COVID. I will not be coming to set." So I have had that happen. And that's how my husband ended up with his acting debut.
Oh, okay. And does he have the bug now too?
No,
Oh,
he would prefer not to do it again. But if I need him to be on camera, then he'll do it. But
he likes being behind me. He likes being behind the scenes.
yeah, he's an audio guy, so most anything that I've done, really even since college, he has been responsible for something with to do with the audio. Either he recorded it, he mixed it, he did the soundtrack. He's had a hand in it somewhere.
Okay. Does it help? Does it help? Does it help that your husband's in the business as well? Do you bounce a lot of ideas off him? Do you guys bounce ideas off each other?
Yeah, no, he has this way of he can not be involved at all. Like the 1 minute short that we did last month, um, he was very busy at work, so I just didn't really discuss anything with him. Didn't want to bother him with any of that. And he was listening to me edit it before it was due. And all of a sudden he just walks in and he's like, "What if you did this, 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 and this?" And I was like, "Oh my God, that's brilliant." So he
Those are,
just has this way of just kind of walking in the room and just being like, "I know how to make this perfect," and then just leaving. Like, all right.
uh, well, that's yes. You know what? He knows you. He knows you. He knows how you think, and he probably adapts it for you. I think that's like our friend Renee says. That's teamwork. Yeah, I teamwork is the best. Do you run lines with him? Does he run lines with you when you audition?
Yeah, so we have a whole system. He's always my reader when we audition. Um, I'll go and like get dressed and put on makeup for the audition. He's putting up the lights and the tripod, and we've gotten into a pretty good rhythm. We used to take forever to do an audition, but now he'll read through the lines with me, um, and then he'll say, "Try it like this," or "Read it like this," or "Pretend this is happening," and we can do it 2 or 3 times and have it. We used to read it 20 times and didn't get it, but now um, we've gotten pretty good at it now.
Yeah, it's gotta be a huge help to you. You know, do you? I mean, as far as being in front of the camera, it's gonna be a great deal. Really helpful. Does he ever help you do your casting when you cast your movies, or are you responsible for your own casting? Do you like to collaborate, or do you like to collaborate in general, or are you more of a I'm driving?
Um, Film is such a collaborative experience, and it's really one of the only things that depend one of the only art forms that really, really depends and thrives on collaboration. If you are, wanting to, I don't think you're going to have a very good time. You have to be able to work with people, and I love bouncing ideas off of people. I love having people to work with. The only reason that I do so many things is just being indie is sometimes you have to do everything. I prefer not to though.
Right, right. Okay, folks. Do you have any questions for our guest? Wow, that's a fast time. That's a fast time. Uh, this is fun. I'm glad you came out.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, do you like being interviewed?
I think this is only the second time I've ever been interviewed, so I don't know yet.
Really? This is only. Oh, I cannot. I cannot believe this. This is not the first time this has happened. I'm looking at your body of work, and I'm going like, okay, she's. I'm sure she's been talked to about her abilities before her career. I'm just so stunned by that. Do you feel do you feel being interviewed and press coverage for actors, is that something that's really vitally important, or do you feel like it's just a part of the process, a necessary evil, or do you think that it really does help? And be honest. You can be honest.
I think it does, because it's just another way to kind of get yourself out there. And a lot of times, especially as an actor, when people see you, they're not seeing you; they're seeing a character you're playing. So there's not as much material where you're just being yourself. Which now we're seeing kind of a shift where people can kind of do that with their own social media, which has been interesting to watch. Um, but a lot of times, even then, they're kind of putting on a little social media persona. So I mean, I think it's really important.
Yeah, I'm just really shocked. I was talking to I'm telling this now. I'm saying hello to our new guy, Steven Sheets. Hi, Steven. How are you? Thank you so much, Jenny. I really appreciate that. I really do. I'm grateful you guys came out and hung out with us tonight. And welcome to the show, Stephen. Um, yeah, I talked to a woman whose career was 20 years old. She's been working for 20 years. She's appeared in so many fun projects and everything else. And I'm thinking, okay, and then when I went to get her for the interview, oh my gosh, it was like I was like, she was so anxious, and I'm like, have you done this before? Like, surely you've done, interviews before. It was her second one too. And I'm just like, no. I'm like, what has happened? What has happened to the press? I mean, it's like, that's how you get out there. This is part of us getting you out there, for people to be exposed to you and your work. And I'm just sort of stunned when I do talk to people, and it's like I've never been interviewed before, or they've done less than 10, and I'm like, wow, I don't get it. But you know what? I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad I'm one of them. I'm glad I was able to be your second interview.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm glad you
yeah,
were too.
yeah, yeah. Uh, do you know Steven Sheets? He's a singer.
I don't think so, but I'm scared to say that because sometimes I forget people.
Okay. As he says, I see you have Rena. It sounds like he knows who you are. Well, I'm glad you're here. Um, well, listen, I tell you what, I've asked my questions. Um, I'm very grateful that you came out and talked to us. I want to thank the chat to come out and hang out with us too. This is awesome. And Renee says that you're very sweet and and very nice to meet you. And thank you for coming and hanging out with us. Thank you, Bernays. Yeah, yeah, you're awesome. And she has a black cat named Minerva.
I do.
That's right. That already puts you in the upper echelon already. Um, well, thank you guys so much. Now I have to come up here before I let you go. I have to go ahead and tell you about the calendar because our calendar got changed. Paladin knocked it down. Thank you, Paladin. Um, okay, tomorrow night. I thought tomorrow night we're going to be back here at a regular time with French director. I can't pronounce his last name. I'm just saying Kevin. Oh my God, it's a really long name. I don't want to miss. I don't want to crush it, so I don't say it. But I thought he was shooting in the States, and so we were going to do our show tomorrow night at 8 o'clock normal time. And then I find out that he's actually shooting in France. So now the show tomorrow will be at noon. We will be back up here at noon tomorrow. So, and there will only be one show. There will be only the daylight show. There will not be a show tomorrow night. I didn't have time to grab anybody. But Thursday, we will be back with Alexis Iacano. She'll be here at 8 p.m. on Thursday the 13th. And then we have Christy Adams from Nightmare Toys in Las Vegas. She will be out here on Friday at 8 p.m. as well. So I definitely want to let you guys know about the change tomorrow in case you're hanging around and looking for something fun to do. I will be talking to Kevin tomorrow. He is a terrific director, amazing director, major league talent. And I'm really glad to be able to talk to him as well. I'll send you one of his movies.
Okay.
I'll send you one of his movies. Yeah, you'll be impressed. It's amazing. He's amazing. All right, boys and girls, that's it for us. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. Stay right where you're at. To the chat, I'm going to say good night and drive home safe. Peace.